yo! Welcome to our podcast where we will be sharing our student stories. From culture on campus to inspiring individuals, we'll give you an insight into our international student community. I'm Fedor, a first-year PhD student in the Department of History, and I'm coming from Russia. We're kicking off our new series by asking our students why they chose to study abroad, from what motivated them to the benefits and what ultimately led to them to start a new chapter here at York. I'm joined by Anna and Jan.
Hello, my name is Jeanne and I'm from France. I'm an undergraduate doing biology and I'm in second year.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from the United States, specifically Michigan. I am a postgrad doing medical history and humanities.
Great. So let's start with you, Jeanne. What made you want to study abroad?
Firstly, abroad, I'd say I always wanted to go abroad. I learned English in South Africa, so I already had this experience of being abroad, and so I wanted to continue with that. And because I want to work in global health, more the science part like that, I thought that going abroad and actually learning everything in English would be really efficient, job wise later on. I also really wanted to know how the research process was in England, and I also looked up at different things and I knew it was really good. Obviously, because the university has funding, the labs are also really good. Compared, for example, to France, though they're really nice in France as well, but it's quite different. And then you do have that research process and which was really interesting. And then also just having the culture abroad. I know my mom had done 1 year in England as well, and my sister as well. So it just everything pushed me to go abroad.
Sounds like an exciting experience. Anna, what do you think are the advantages of your postgraduate program here at York?
Specifically for medical history and humanities, it doesn't really exist in the U.S., so it is a cool program to come to the U.K. for. So also I think that the way that the classrooms are set up are really nice. They're they're 7 to 8 students. There's a lot of independent thinking. The professors are really, really kind. They like to go by their first names here, so I feel like you get a very hands-on experience where you feel like a student and you're interacting. Especially in the master's program, you feel like you're a professional. I had one of our professors tell us, yeah, you can now call yourself historians. You can go out in the world, even though we're only 1 semester in. He's like, yeah, you guys can officially call yourself historians, which is something kind of cute. But that's a cool advantage that you get at York, is that there's a lot of hands-on experience with the professors, and they're really out there trying to encourage you.
Well, back to Jan then. How did your friends and family react to your decision to study abroad in York?
My parents were always they really wanted to study abroad. They've always pushed us. They were oh, it's a great opportunity. You actually have the choice to really think about it. So when I was deciding between I had University of York and then I had a uni back in France, and I was really struggling and I didn't know what to do. And I know that my parents were really helpful. They were really supportive. And then the rest of my family were really happy for me. And then my friends, because I was in an international schools, most of my friends went abroad anyways, not specifically in in England, but in Italy or Spain or Germany. So we all kind of went abroad or went to different places. So it felt like the right thing to do.
So is it pretty normal in France to study abroad for your education then?
No, not really. I'd say normally it depends if you're in international school. I know we had the support for it. They helped us with UCAS and everything. You can pass the Cambridge exams. I passed one of my IGCSEs, which normally you don't do if you go to a normal school. But I think because I was in an international school, you do get pushed to go abroad. They give you the opportunity and they give you everything to pass the exams to do it. But
that's interesting, because I feel in the States they don't push the idea of going abroad at
really?
all. Especially unless you're doing a year abroad kind of thing. But for most programs, they don't expect you to go. Even in high school, anytime you would tell people oh, I want to study abroad, they're wait, what? I didn't even know this was an option, which is kind of crazy hearing that in France you guys had international schools that encourage you to do that.
Because I think one of also the biggest advantages, I'd say, to me is also to gain autonomy and independence. Obviously if you're in your own country, it's really nice and you can just really easily go home. And so when you have problems, I think it's quite easy to have help. Whereas here, in first year, I remember coming and I was oh God, how do I do this? How do I do that? And you can't you can call your friends or parents or whatever, but it's really different because it's not that easy. You're really pushed out there, and which I really loved. I feel like now that I've gained it, I'm like, oh, I want to keep it.
Mhm.
What would you say to the prospective students who are considering to study abroad, and why should they choose York?
Do you want to go first, Anna?
Sure. I would say do it. You're going to miss the familiarity, but I do think that you're going to regret if you don't take the experience to go abroad, especially for masters. It's only a year long. So if for some reason you end up hating it, it's only for a year, but I doubt you would hate it. I definitely encourage people to come to York specifically. It's a cute city. It's small. It's safe. It's very walkable. It's in a great location to get to so many other places in England. And then the university itself is just excellent. The staff are so kind, they're so encouraging, and the students are super friendly as well.
Yeah, I think like if you have the opportunity, like the choice, you should really think about it because you're never like gonna have a different experience. Like just like going to a new country, finding a new culture, mixing with people. And what I think is really good about England and what I've lived in York is that everyone goes like in this mindset. I'm like meeting people. I'm like coming here to like work, and it's just like a really nice environment. And yeah, York specifically, it's just like it's so safe and nice. Like
They're so friendly.
yeah, you have like the right amount of like students, and then it also feels like really like family wise. Like you just go in town and there's like so many families, and you're like this is really chill. Like this is really nice. So I think it's like a really good experience. And then York is really nice. Like the campus is like you have everything on it, and it's just like a really different experience. Also, yeah, this experience of like being on campus, like in your first year being in accommodations. I think that's like a really good experience that you should get, and like everyone is just in this like open mindset. So I think it's just like really good to go because you'll be welcomed.
What has been your best moment as an international student here at York or generally?
Okay, I'll go first. So I think there's so many, like it's really like difficult to choose one, but this year I joined rugby, and so ever since like I've met so many new people. Like there's so many like societies that you can join, and I think I was so happy to like take the courage and like try out for rugby because I've had so many like good moments. Like we had like lately we had like Christmas dinner, and it was just so nice because we were like all gathered together, and it was just so cute. And like anytime we were just like gathered or like played all together, I just think it's like always great moments. Like right now it's the Six Nations, so it's really fun. Like it's nice to know that there's so many people you can count on and just gather up like at any time and have a good moment. So I think like those moments with them is really good.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. Mine is a little cheesy, but I said it was the little things, honestly. Like, everything in York has been great so far. I loved walking the walls. I loved coffee dates with my classmates, meeting people after class at the pubs. I like joking in lectures because it was such a small group. There was a lot of giggles in our lectures, even with the staff involved. I loved the York SU field trips. Those were really cool as well. I really enjoyed the walk to campus. I live in the city, which is a cool experience to get to like see York at all times of the year. But it is a beautiful walk to and from campus, and like that's been one of my highlights of the year as well. But I think you're spot on. The community here is just so great. Everyone's so friendly, so encouraging, and it's very cute.
Do you think there are any specific skills that you would pick up while studying abroad, and specifically in York, which may be the reason why people should go study abroad then?
Yeah, I think like especially like for science for me because I do biology, like being in the lab and like learning everything in English is quite good. Like to be fair, it was a bit like scary at first because I was like, I don't know all of this, but then it's like really like quick on to like know everything. And I think it's really good because obviously like worldwide, no matter where you go, you'll like mainly speak English. So I think it's really good. And then I think like especially York, I know they've been great with it. It's like about like placement years. So like I feel like English universities and especially here at York, they really promote to like this like gain on experience like directly and go and actually have like a job experience. And I know our coordinator for this has been just great. Like every week he sends us email, he helps us with like our CV skills and stuff like that. And I think it's really good. Like even the fact that we're like all over the year, you have like a supervisor and you can go and see him and like you can ask him questions of even like about research projects and stuff like that. So I think it's really good. Also like research based, like the teachers like really passionate about it and they really try to help you on. Like we made a project for my latest assessment, where we did like a board game for like nutrition about like for kids. And I know all the teachers were like really interested, and they spoke to us about it, and they were like, oh, if you ever like want to like continue the project like further on, like we'd be really happy to help. So I think like they really promote like every skills that you can gain, not just from like the content you learn in lectures, but also like everything on the sides, like in workshops or labs, which I think is really good for like employability later on and just like experience.
Yeah, from a history perspective, I think the conferences are really nice. They have a lot of staff come and you go and like meet with staff and talk with them. I think another cool thing about York is that they offer a lot of chances for you personally to go speak at conferences. They send out a ton of emails being like, hey, submit this paper to a conference, and you typically hear back pretty quickly, and it gives you a chance to learn how to speak at conferences. And they really value people who haven't maybe gotten that skill set yet, and so they tend to like really prosper that skill set in students. And even when you meet with staff, like you were saying, they're so encouraging. Like you can give them a little idea for a dissertation, and even if they're not going to be your supervisor, they're going to help you as much as they can. They're going to provide a bunch of different resources. They're going to help you interact with other staff. Like the history department is definitely very hands-on, and I know the public history program specifically does a placement. I think it's just for a semester, but they like place their public historians in actual museums and archives, and they get to work with that experience. And so that's another really interesting and unique aspect about York as well.
Well, thank you so much, Anna and John. And thank you for listening to our podcast today. We hope it has helped you in your decision to study abroad and maybe join our international community here at York.